I've always been a hustler because I've never had a choice not to be. I've never been properly provided for or taken care of by anyone. So, in order to have the lifestyle that I want, I've always had to be the one to do that. So, I already knew if I was going to be a mom, there was no way I was going to be a mom who is leaving her kids and all of that. Like, I wanted a true family structure. That is what I wanted personally for myself. No offense to moms who like to do both. I just knew for me personally, I wanted to be that present mother. So when I started having kids, my first husband was a decent provider. I didn't have to worry about any of that. I was home with our two little ones, but shortly after my second baby was born, he was about 2 months old. My husband at the time thought it was going to be a good idea to start manufacturing meth with his cousin and his uncle. So, they did get pretty well known in the meth game. I mean, I am from Akron, the meth capital of the world. And they were kind of like living life on the high hog there from that. However, me trying to have a cute little happy family life, that was just not mixing in. So I could not continue to be with him while he was like getting into all this stuff. I'm like, this cannot be in this home. Like, they were already, away in someone else's garage, whatever. But like, just the whole lifestyle, just, there was a lot of abuse, anger, rage, like the whole thing, right? Like, just nothing good. I had to get out of there. I had to take my kids and get out of there. And so I've always been, I've always fallen back on government assistance when necessary. And I've always made the most of my time. At that point, when I was a single mom, I had to get some kind of an income going, but I knew I wasn't going to be away from my kids all the time. So I always looked into, hey, how can I have fun and make money and be away from my kids the least amount of time? And so I got into dancing, bartending, modeling, anything of that nature where I can get paid for being myself, my personality, my body, whatever. Um, so that's what I would do. And I had, for a while there, I had a good little routine going. There was a pregnant teen that lived a few houses up from me, and she was a babysitter. So what I'd be a good mom all day long with my kids. They were still very little, so I would put them to bed about 8:30 p.m. every night. Um, After I put them to bed at 8:30 p.m., I would take about an hour to myself doing my makeup, getting all dressed all hot, drinking my Red Bull, and welcoming her into the home. And she had an easy job. She was, I knew her. She had good parents. She was only a few houses up the street. She would sit there and get to watch TV while my kids slept, and I would drive downtown. And, that was my routine. And I would go to work like probably 4 nights out of the week. I was always doing it for sure weekends, but then sometimes a Thursday or Tuesday, whatever. Um, on the other nights, I would just stay at my house and like have company over maybe or whatever. Um, But that worked very well for me for, as long as my kids were kind of like in that young age range. And I was making good money. And I didn't have to miss out on my kids at all. So that was basically perfect for me. And also, on top of that, I got to have a social life. So it was basically, as much of a win-win situation as you could get having to be a single mom. I mean, obviously, the ideal would have been an amazing, loving husband and the home life and the mom life and the wife life, but that didn't pan out. So, I got to at least make money, having fun, and getting to be with my kids. So I was truly living a double life. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool. Everything was fine for a while. And men have always been my downfall. Anytime I've had something good going for myself in my life, I would just meet a guy who like pretended like he had good intentions for me or me and my kids, and I would like fall. I would just feel like these immense connections, and I would feel these very strong attachments. Looking back, I can see that was abandonment wounding, like, raging, but I didn't know any of that. After that kind of like kept going on, I ended up pregnant by a man who raped me. And he ended up in prison for 4 years. When I found out I was pregnant, he went to prison for other stuff. I don't think he never got in any trouble for what he did to me, but whatever. His life sucks anyway. But yeah, so there I was, pregnant, still trying to maintain the lifestyle a little bit, because like that was my social, that was my money. And I could be up in the scene even while I was pregnant, just couldn't drink, obviously, but I kind of stretched that out as far as I could until I got real big. And then there was many times that I had a lot of financial struggles because I never got child support for any of those kids. And I went probably 12 years before they actually caught my first husband. In the whole meantime, between all of this, he did actually move out of state when our youngest was 2 months old. And so he's actually been out of state, and he's still in that state, and my kids are like grown. So never had any help from any of those three, for any of those three kids at all on my own. But that's what I'm saying. I would do what I need to do to be with my kids. Not putting them in a daycare. I would either babysit other people's kids, I would do other people's hair, bartend every once in a while, dance every once in a while, do what I needed to do to be the provider that I was not receiving from the men. And so I've always had that mindset of how can I turn something I love and have fun with into money. Okay, so that's just a little bit into my story of how I became so business minded. Everything I do now, currently, fast forward, is all stuff that I love to do, or at least like, because I wouldn't do it if I didn't. I now have a makeup and skincare business. I have a tarot reading business, and I model. And this is all stuff that I enjoy. This is stuff that gives me my creative outlet and my social outlet.